2021. By His grace, we're alive. And we're here with yet another edition of the show. Our gratitude to the Most High God for the rare privilege of being alive and, of course, the opportunity of having another conversation around the top stories making the rounds here in Adia Republic. I'll let you into our panel for the morning's conversation shortly, but let's take a look at the front pages of our newspapers. Daily Graphic. CJ refutes $5 million bribery allegation. CID begins investigations. Tourism Ministry launches app to spur growth. Students Loan Trust Fund chases 20,000 defaulting beneficiaries. SNIT plans deleting 13,000 names from pensioners' payroll. Ghanaian Times. Over 558 fire hydrants vanish nationwide. Fire service says only 650 out of 1,210 working. Ejura probe, let truth come out, Linguist tells Commission. GTA launches service providers customer single window app for tourism industry. Refund allowances paid to spouses of President and Vice President, TUC. COVID-19 cases spike from 1,849 to 2,247 as of July 8th. Daily Guide. Mahama wife salaries revealed. CJ asked police to probe bribery. 1 dead, 6 injured in Tamato booth accident. Akufo-Addo commissions 2 projects in Salaga. Karker's wife explains husband's death. The New Crusading Guide. CJ petitions CID to investigate bribery allegations against him. We've seen massive development under your presidency. Pembeura to Akufo-Addo. President commissions Salaga water supply project. We are ready to work with any DC, Shayo Sudoku Traditional Council to Nanado. Ashanti region routes for Alan Chairmantin. The Insight. Salaries for spouses of President and VIP saga. TUC tells Akufo-Addo to refund all payments. Farmers cry over diversion and shortage of fertilizer. Tension at New Times Corporation as workers demand accountability over Provident Fund. Retain a hard-working MC. Ghanaian residents appeal to President. The Daily Statesman. We've seen massive development under you, Pembeura, Lord's President Akufo-Addo's leadership. Nana Nyameke, Fofole, we are not NDC chiefs. CJ refers alleged $5 million bribery to CID. GMA warns about surge in COVID-19 cases. Daily Post. There is a concerted effort by the media to black out Chief Justice's bribery case, Ofosu Kwakye. Chief Justice writes to Ghana Police to investigate $5 million bribery allegation against him. Dr. Manibu Ama slams Dr. Ansian Sari for claiming no attendee at Sir John's funeral contracted coronavirus. Finance Ministry never paid purported salaries circulating on social media to first and second ladies in Mahama's government are too forcing. That's one piece of incompetent propaganda. Business and Financial Times. Government signals limited need for new borrowing. 9 pirate attacks recorded in 18 months. GMA pushing for stricter piracy laws. Tourism Ministry, GTA, open single window project. Initiative intends to raise industry standards. Cocoa, no threat from EU to ban cocoa. Ambassador Akonia. Ecobank presents 28.8 million Ghana cedis dividend to SNIT. Accra to host first International Gem and Jewelry Expo in West Africa. And that's about it. For the front pages, we'll be back shortly.
Gets dirty and wet after wiping your sweat or blowing your nose with it. Keeping a dirty handkerchief in your pocket or bag is very unhygienic. Reusing it increases your chances of getting sick from germs. That is why I always use Flora disposable handkerchief. Flora disposable handkerchiefs is disposable, thus making it a more hygienic option. It's thick and very absorbent. With 10 tissues in a pack, Flora disposable handkerchief is better than a cloth handkerchief.
New Commissioner for Trade, Industry and Mining, the Governor of the Central Bank of Ghana, the Governor of the Central Bank of Francophone West Africa, the Governor of the Central Bank of Francophone Central Africa, Director General of WAMI, ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development, the African Development Bank, Ghana's Commissioner for Insurance, and several others within the trade and finance space of Africa's economies. The 5th International Conference will be opened by His Excellency Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, and moderated by Mr. Prince Moses, General Manager, Asasi Radio. Critical and urgent continental issues on the Pan-African payment and settlement system within the AfCFTA and others will be discussed with apt solutions to influence regional and continental policies. Proudly sponsored by the Bank of Africa, the Bank of Ghana, GIZ Support Project for the AfCFTA, and Asasi Radio. Visit www.gitfic.com to learn more and stay tuned in to Asasi Radio for more updates.
Are you tired as a consumer in Ghana when it comes to issues that confront you as a consumer? Worry no more. Kofi Kapito, I'm here to give you the information, all that you need to make sure that your right is protected as a consumer. We have too many laws and agencies that should protect the right of the consumer. I'm here to give you the information that will help and assist you to get goods and services delivered to you without any worries. Watch the Capito Show on Metro TV.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. With me on the show this morning is the former Deputy Minister of Communications, Felix Kwakye Ofosu. Good morning, Felix.
Good morning, Randy.
Also with me on the show this morning is the former Executive Director of the Dankwa Institute, Richard Ayagba. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I haven't seen you in 2 weeks or 3 weeks?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. You haven't changed?
Where have you been? I haven't changed.
No, I haven't changed.
You have changed.
I was hoping you would change.
you have changed.
Okay.
How have you been?
I've been good. I've been good.
What's going on?
Not much. We're just trying to find space to serve Mother Ghana as usual. But nothing much beyond that.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. Have you been to the fatherland?
Not yet.
You've not?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. I wanted to ask you about the soldiers.
No.
You've not been there?
I haven't.
Really?
Yes, sir. I haven't.
Oh. Where do we start? There's a lot on the plate this morning, huh?
Very weighty matters.
I tell you, anytime I wake up at dawn, I check my phone, there's something new. You know, it looks like we are now producing bad news every 2 hours.
Well, it's to do with life, so
yeah.
I guess we have to deal with it.
So let's start off with this. Office of the Judicial Secretary to Inspector General of Police, attention COP Mr. Isaac Kanyeboa, Director General CID, request to the Ghana Police Service to conduct criminal investigations into a bribery allegation. The attention of His Lordship, the Chief Justice, has been drawn to copies of letters from a lawyer, Akwesi Afrifa Esquire, and his client, the plaintiff in the matter of Ojidom Obrenu Kwesiata IV versus Ghana Telecommunications Company and Lands Commission to the Disciplinary Committee of the General Legal Council, and which letters are making rounds on social media. His Lordship is saddened that without any shred of evidence, his name has been dragged into this sordid and potentially criminal matter. His Lordship confirms that he does not know the plaintiff, has not met or seen him anywhere, except in a courtroom when he rises to announce his name when his case is called. His Lordship asserts that he has had no personal interaction either with the plaintiff or his lawyer on this matter or in any other matter. His Lordship further asserts that he has not demanded or received any money from any person to influence any decision in this matter or any other matter. Indeed, the records show that the plaintiff unsuccessfully petitioned for the recusal of His Lordship the Chief Justice and His Lordship Justice Victor Jones Mawolom Doche from the matter on a claim that they were prejudiced against him. The records further show that the Chief Justice was the only judge on the panel who recently, on 31st March 2021, dissented in an application at the instance of the plaintiff for Jidom Obrenu Kwesiata IV in favor of the respondent, Ghana Telecommunications Company Limited. To ensure that this matter is fully investigated, His Lordship has directed that a formal complaint be made to the Criminal Investigations Department of Ghana Police Service for investigations and any necessary action. He has further directed that a petition be lodged with the Discipline Committee of the General Legal Council in respect of this specific matter. His Lordship is available to assist with all investigations into this matter while he considers his own civil legal options to ensure that this matter is dealt with to its logical conclusions. Thank you. So I read this. The Chief Justice is virtually denying everything, and he says that he wants the CID to investigate the bribery allegation. He's asking a petition to be lodged with the Discipline Committee of the General Legal Council. I don't know if it's General Legal Council, it means that he's reporting the lawyer. Okay, what the lawyer has done, I don't know. And then he also says that he's weighing his civil legal options. And one of the newspapers, Felix, has you on the front page. And you are there holding a big stick, whipping us, the media. Says there's a concerted effort by the media to black out Chief Justice's bribery case.
Randy, good morning to you once again. Good morning to Richard. And good morning to our cherished viewers. It's always a pleasure and a privilege to have the opportunity to air one's views on a platform like this. Randy, let me start with the media. You see, I believe in fairness and equal treatment. So to that extent, I wholeheartedly accept the Chief Justice's right to state his side on the matter and even forcefully deny the allegations made against him. It is what anybody accused of any form of wrongdoing can be expected to do. So in that regard, nobody can fault him. He has done what any of us would have done in the circumstance. Of course, there are matters relating to some of the issues he raises in the judicial service statement that I would address. But let me start with the media. You see, the reason why I took the position I took yesterday, and it's contained in a Facebook post I made yesterday. If you notice this morning, almost all the mainstream newspapers and media outlets have published stories relating to the Chief Justice's denial of the allegations made against him by the lawyer. Rightly so. However, if you scanned the media landscape yesterday morning, 24 hours after the matter had broken out and the allegations had been made, none of the mainstream media organizations were willing to carry this story, save for one or two, if you like, less prominent online portals. Now,
so you don't. So the point you make is that you don't carry the accusation, but you
absolutely. How do you carry a rejoinder to a story that you've not carried? Everybody has a right to a rejoinder, so that one is fair. Especially if you happen to have published the allegation or accusation, you have a duty. You are obliged to carry the rejoinder also. But there appeared to be no interest in the story. That is not to say that the story is either true or false. For me, I do not have a basis to pronounce on the accuracy or otherwise of the allegation that has been made. But the media has to treat everybody fairly. And indeed, I noted in the post yesterday also that if these allegations had been made about myself or yourself or Richard, because we are politicians, within the twinkling of an eye, it will be on the front page of all mainstream media organizations. So there is a certain amount of selectivity which does not help, because in all of this, the media is supposed to be watchdogs, not guard dogs, and it appeared to be concerted, because it is strange that all of them at the same time will turn a blind eye to a matter as sensational as this. Indeed, yesterday I engaged some of my friends in the media quietly. Some of them held that the allegations had not been substantiated, and for that reason they were not going to carry it. So I asked them immediately that since when has the media carried only substantiated allegations or stories? How many times have politicians not been accused of things that the media has not even looked into in terms of investigation, but have published.
When it's substantiated, it's no longer
exactly, it's no longer allegation. It's actually not news, actually. So that explanation does not suffice. What I saw was a deliberate effort to suppress that story.
You don't think you don't think that because of the personality involved, Randy, people were a bit cautious.
Randy, I made a point in my post yesterday also that we cannot adopt a sacred cow mentality. You see, we cannot make exceptions for people based on their positions. Indeed, the media should be fearless. In fact, it is those who are deemed untouchable in society who the media need to shine their spotlight on for very good reason. So it is not about the person of the current Chief Justice, but the office that he occupies. Somebody like that, if allegations like this are made, we should take an interest in it as a state, and definitely the media, which is supposed to be the watchdog of society, should lead the effort to scrutinize these matters to see whether or not there is any merit in it. But to turn a blind eye and tell me that because it is the Chief Justice or somebody of a certain high standing in society, you are being cautious. This, for me, does not cut it. The president of the land, indeed, the Constitution makes it clear that the president takes precedence over everybody in this country. And yet, if allegations of this nature were made about him, it will find space on the front page. If any prominent politician, the Speaker of Parliament, the President Mahama, or any other person occupying a position within the political space had been accused of this, it will find space in these papers and the media organizations. So the explanations for me are on tenor. It is a shame that the media would adopt such a posture. They must cut out that attempt to shield people. And often these things are syndicated and synchronized, and we must watch it as a people. So that for me is the reason why I thought it was necessary to raise that issue. Accountability must start with the media. Randy, on the substantive matter that has been raised by the Chief Justice in his rejoinder, to begin with, like I said, everybody has to respect his rights to address the matter as has been alleged. So that, for me, is not surprising. But the Chief Justice proceeds to refer this matter to the police CID and then the disciplinary committee of the General Legal Council. In effect, he is reporting the conduct of the lawyer to the General Legal Council. I have major issues with this. To begin with, I don't know whether you've had opportunity on your program to explain to viewers what the matter is about, because it's not everybody who may have had the opportunity to understand what the allegation is.
I've not been on there since the matter.
That's unfortunate. Okay. The issue is that, very, very briefly, this lawyer, Akwesi Afrifa, was engaged by a traditional ruler. I think it's Oje Man Kwesiata, the fourth, I beg your pardon. Well, there's some confusion as to whether, okay, it's the fourth, yes. Oje Dom Obrenu Kwesiata, the fourth. I understand he's the Odikro of one of the communities in the Gomwa area. And he's also a prominent businessman. Now, this traditional ruler engaged Akwesi Afrifa in a matter that he had brought against Ghana Telecom. First at the High Court, where he prevailed, then to the appeals court, because the Ghana Telecom was not satisfied with the ruling. I understand that he prevailed again. I mean, this traditional ruler prevailed again. And then the matter was escalated to the Supreme Court. I think on 21st March of this year, there was some ruling in respect of some application that had been brought as to whether or not some evidence can be introduced during appeal and all that. So, fair and square, the legal processes are still underway. Now, this traditional ruler then filed a complaint before the General Legal Council, the Disciplinary Committee of the General Legal Council, that his lawyer, Akwesi Afrifa, had acted inappropriately. He claims that during the course of the case, Akwesi Afrifa approached him and said that he could do what in football parlance we call ways and means, or gymnastics, to ensure that the chief is victorious also in the appeal that has been brought against his earlier victories. And that he required, I think, $100,000 or so to undertake that ways and means maneuver. The chief says that even though he had misgivings, he felt that once his lawyer was the one making the request, he was obliged to acquiesce. So he indeed advanced the money to the lawyer. But his subsequent inquiries showed that the lawyer did not engage in any ways and means and perhaps pocketed the money. And so he finds that this is grave misconduct on the part of the lawyer, and he has petitioned the General Legal Council to intervene to ensure that the money is refunded to him. So a letter was written to this lawyer inviting him to the General Legal Council. I think that the date set for the hearing is 15th of this month. I think Thursday or so. Now, the lawyer exercising his right to reply. And Randy, lawyer Kwesi Afifa, I understand, is a very prominent lawyer in Kumasi. I did some inquiries about him yesterday because, to be honest, I had never heard of him until this matter. But apparently, he is a very weighty lawyer in Kumasi. He is not some backstreet lawyer who is engaged in some frivolous maneuver. This is a prominent lawyer of sufficient standing within the Ghanaian legal fraternity. Now, he also says that the claims made against him by Obrenu Kwesi Arthur IV are completely untrue, and that he was engaged at some point when the matter went on appeal to assist Obrenu Kwesi Arthur, and that he had agreed with the chief that he was going to take 1 million Ghana cedis in addition to all the fees and legal charges that he had billed the chief for. He was going to take 1 million Ghana cedis, and that they had negotiated such that he took an advance of 300,000 Ghana cedis with an outstanding 700,000 Ghana cedis to be paid at an agreed date. And that when they did the plus and minus, it was agreed that the 300,000 Ghana cedis amounted to $50,000 as of the time. Now he says that this chief then approached him, that some powerful people within the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government, who are highly connected, had taken him to see the Chief Justice to assist him in the case. And that the Chief Justice had set 2 conditions for assisting them. That one, he pays $5 million in bribe to assist, to enable him intervene on his behalf. And 2, he should change his lawyer from Kwesi Afifa to Mr. Akoto Ampao, who we know works in President Akufo-Addo's chambers. And that these are the 2 conditions upon which the Chief Justice was willing to assist the Chief prevail in this case. Now, these are allegations, I must stress. Now, the Chief says that he advanced $500,000 to the Chief Justice, and that he fell on hard times, and so approached this lawyer to recoup the 300,000 Ghana that he had paid, because he had replaced him with Mr. Akoto Ampao, so that if it amounted to $50,000, he can find some additional money, top it up, and then make good the payment that he has to make to the Chief Justice. This is what lawyer Kwesi Afifa is saying, that in fact the monies that the chief was pursuing was for the purpose of bribing the Chief Justice, and that it was not that he had given him $100,000. That's it, yes. It was not that he had been given $100,000 to go and do any ways and means, as the chief was claiming. Now, this is contained in his official response to the General Legal Council invitation. Indeed, he also goes on to say that he is relishing the prospect of appearing before the General Legal Council because he has evidence to back the claim that he was making in the letter. And if you read the letter, it's unfortunate that we don't have a copy. I have a copy here, but I can give it to you. You read out the relevant portions. That he was confident that he would be able to prove these claims against the chief before the General Legal Council. Now, Randy, given that Mr. Afifa is not some small lawyer, he's a prominent lawyer, and he is confident enough to put this in official writing and say that he has evidence to back it, it is a most startling accusation. And you see, Randy, the executive legislature, we come under all manner of accusations. Sometimes we find some of the public has their own perceptions and all that. These 2 arms are filled with elected people. However, the judiciary is filled with unelected people. But their role is so crucial because many of the tussles that happen within the political and governance and even social space end up for it. A perception is engraved on the minds of Ghanaians that ways and means and gymnastics, as described by both Obrenu Kwesi Arthur and lawyer Afifa, are what determines the outcome of a case. We simply lose it as a state. It will lead to a total collapse of this our system that we are building. For that reason, an allegation like this cannot be left hanging. Indeed, the state must take interest to find out whether there is any truth or there's any inclination whatsoever on the part of the head of the judiciary to compromise his office with a view to skewing judgment in favor of one person or the other. So it is not a matter that we treat lightly. It's not a matter that we attempt to sweep under the carpet like some sections of media are trying to do. But it's a matter that requires the utmost attention and seriousness of appropriate state bodies. That is why I have a difficulty with the position taken by the Chief Justice, even as I acknowledge fully his right to rebuttal. And indeed, his rebuttal is quite forceful. I do earnestly pray, Randy, that indeed he is able to come out of this unscathed, because it has grave implications for justice delivery and the sort of confidence that already, I'm sure you are aware of that CDD report, which sampled the views of Ghanaians. And about 80% of them also expressed misgivings about the credibility and integrity of the judiciary. Through your friend Anas's work, Randy, we know for a fact that some judges have been compromised in the past with goats and yam and small amounts of money. Indeed, we may not trumpet it every day, but you and I and Richard know that there are long-standing allegations of bribery against the judiciary. But this is the first time in Ghanaian history, as far as I can remember, that the Chief Justice, the head of that institution, is being directly accused of any form of wrongdoing of this sort. And therefore, it is a grave matter that we cannot toy with. There's nothing partisan, in my view, about this one. Now, the Chief Justice says that he has referred the matter to the police CID. You see, Randy, ordinarily, and I'm a stickler for building strong institutions, it should not have been a difficulty, because you would expect that to the extent that there are criminal components of this case, because bribery is a crime, both the giver and the taker, if proven guilty, should face severe sanction. So the CID would have been well placed to look into the matter. But Randy, the CID in recent times, I regret to note, have not covered themselves in glory in terms of the ability to delve into allegations against prominent members of society, especially those in government or occupying any arm of government. And we all know the tall list. I mean, you remember the A+'s allegation against some 2 deputy chiefs of staff. The manner in which it was handled, the fact that some tape leaked, which clearly showed that a top CID official was saying that delving into the matter and reporting accurately on the findings was going to undermine confidence in government. So they were going to find a way to whitewash the matter. We recall the Anas Galamsey video. I mean, the CID on its own volition cleared Mr. Charles Bissiou when it had not even looked into the matter. The Australia Visa scanner, Randy, as I speak to you, the CID is supposed to have cleared somebody. Yet, they are not able to tell us who it is that fronted the acquisition of those fraudulent visas for the people that went to Australia. That gave us huge international embarrassment. They won't tell us. So, public confidence in the ability of the CID to delve into these matters and come out with very credible reports upon which action can be taken is minimal, with the greatest respect to them. And given the standing of the Chief Justice and his position, and this rather inglorious track record of the police CID, I do not believe that it is the appropriate forum for this matter to be discussed. Again, ordinarily, the Judicial Council would have been the body that looks into this matter, because apart from the criminal aspect of bribery, there's also the issue of misconduct on the part of a judge. Indeed, in the Anas instance, it was the Judicial Service itself that took remedial action against the judges. At the time, the Chief Justice, Madam Georgina Wood, took charge and looked into the matter, constituted a committee, and based on their findings, she took appropriate action against some of the judges concerned. But the difficulty with the Judicial Service now is that it is the head of this institution who stands accused. So, first of all, he would be required to step aside in consonance with best governance practice, pending investigations into this matter. Secondly, even if he steps aside, Randy, it is his subordinates, people over whom he has overbearing influence, some of whom I'm sure he employed, his colleagues on the bench, and people who he has built long-standing relationships with based on his work in the judiciary, who will look into this matter. And the likelihood for bias and impartiality is there. So you don't risk such a maneuver. That leaves the window open for an independent entity with equal standing and gravitas, at least in the eyes of the people of Ghana, to look into this matter. And I understand that Article 278 of the Constitution occasions a situation where Parliament by resolution can compel the President to set up a commission of inquiry to look into this matter. That, in my view, is the most appropriate forum to look at this matter. Because for the sake of the Chief Justice's own image and all the work that he's done over the period up to this point, and the image of the organization that he heads, there must be no iota of doubt in the minds of Ghanaians that there's any level of truth to this allegation. And the only way you can establish that is not to hold hearings behind closed doors. It must be public, open, transparent, so that everybody sees what transpires. So that in the end, whatever findings emerge will meet with public expectation. Whatever actions that flow will ensure that confidence is restored in this most important state entity that we cannot afford to trample upon in terms of their integrity. There's also another aspect which deals with the General Legal Council. Indeed, the reportage or the reports that the Chief Justice himself makes of this matter to the Disciplinary Committee of the General Legal Council. And I have a difficulty with that. Indeed, Lawyer Afrifa himself was billed to appear on the 15th of this month. Now, because of the trajectory of this matter, I do not believe that those hearings should take place. Because
which hearings? The original
the Disciplinary Committee hearings.
The original case.
The original case.
Until this is determined.
I don't believe that issue because it has implications for the substance of the matter. I think that the General Legal Council should stay its hand pending a proper determination by an independent body.
What would be, you know what I've been trying to figure out? The context within which the CJ will report Lawyer Afrifa to the General Legal Council. I ask this because, one, what is being discussed now is supposed to be a response to
an allegation made.
Yeah, no, a response to a summons to the said lawyer. And on many occasions, we've seen the responses of such persons also in the media.
Yes.
Both the invitation
and then
the responses in the media. And so I've been trying to, maybe when we see the CJ's official petition to the council, we'll be able to find out the grounds upon which he is reporting.
The lawyer. Without, of course, that it will be useful to have the petition. That would then put.
Because I'm straining to.
But I believe that it is upon the provisions in the the Code of Conduct for Lawyers, where you are not supposed to make allegations that bring the name of the judiciary into dispute.
No.
Because what he is doing is that he is stating a fact.
What I'm saying is that he's been written to.
Yes.
He has to respond. He has responded to it. At that forum, a determination will be made
whether or not there's merit in this. Okay.
So how that constitutes,
well, to the extent that
a misconduct.
Well, I get your point. But I mean, if I were to put myself in the shoes of the Chief Justice, I cannot just second guess him, of course. But I suspect that because this matter has found its way into the media, and Lawyer Afrifa would be the conduit through which that happened because he wrote it. It makes sense that you would.
That's why I raised I raised the issue of both the summons, if that's the right word to use,
the invitation. I think that's
and the responses of the General Legal Council and lawyers have been in the public domain.
Exactly. So I suspect
that has not constituted misconduct.
Yeah, I suspect that it is perhaps the repetition of the allegation that Nana Obrenu Kwesi is alleged to have made to.
No, but he's done that in a response.
In a response, of course,
to the GLC.
I get you.
It's not as if he's going to grant an interview somewhere.
I hear you. Perhaps you say that for him to have even made that at all.
Why?
Well, that I'm only putting myself in the shoes of the teacher. But perhaps when we get his petition, will be in a much better position.
Because the person has already been reported.
Exactly. So he's going to be dealt with. So I believe that the General Legal Council should steer clear of this matter. Because again,
when you say this matter, which one?
First of all, the original case, well, it has implications. The reason I'm
you're saying that they should not
deal
with the original petition,
exactly, because of the dimension,
and also the
actual case. Okay, they should stay their hand. And the reason is simple: the Chief Justice is also the chairman of the General Legal Council.
Correct.
So there again, he has overbearing influence, whether he is sitting on the case or not. Because of the same reasons I have used for why the judicial service, even though ordinarily they would have jurisdiction, cannot be the most appropriate for them, applies here. So they should stay.
It's an issue that people raise because it appears. I've tried to check the history of the General Legal Council and petitions filed by the CJ, him or herself.
Exactly.
I'm yet to find. I've not finished. I'm yet to find. But there are people who've also raised those issues. I know the man chairs the thing, and lately he's been.
Oh yes,
he's been petitioning.
Oh yeah,
the body that he chairs on the conduct of lawyers.
A few weeks ago, the NDC held a press conference. I will express the view on that. My own view is that when the Chief Justice petitions the General Legal Council, it is different if he is petitioned over the conduct of a lawyer and then he only forwards it to the General Legal Council. But if he
is the petitioner, what
he has simply done that he is telling the General Legal Council, punish this man for wrongdoing. That's what he is saying, and I don't think that it is appropriate. So we have to watch it. But really, for me, what this thing shows is that we have not built sufficiently robust institutions.
Why?
The reason why I say this, and now we are even struggling to find the most appropriate channel. You understand me? When
it shouldn't be.
Yes.
If, for example, if there's a criminal element,
of course,
the police CID decides
it is not just. It is not
if
just.
there's an ethical element, and the General Legal Council decides to look at it.
You notice that
if there's a public interest element,
yes,
and Good Morning Ghana decides to look at it.
It is not just. It is not just.
The institutions are working.
It is not just. No. But you and I know that there is, and I'm sure that viewers watching me would agree with why the CID is not the most appropriate body to look into this matter. It speaks to the weakness of our state institutions. It speaks to the fact that even as we have striven to broaden the frontiers of democracy and governance, we have not done those things that instill confidence in the public. That if there is a matter, there is an automatic process. Why? President Nixon, what forced him to resign? State institutions, you know that matter started.
I've decided to add the Ghana Police Service to my prayer points.
Well, you know that matter.
Because I think at this point it's only
Randy, you know that matter started. The Nixon matter started with the discovery of a breaking.
Did you listen or watch News File last night?
Exactly. Where Randy, to be fair,
I'm telling you. Look, the police CID boss misled Kweku Baku.
Well, Randy, we've not heard from him. So to be fair, let us hear from him.
Based on what? Okay, let me just leave it in that way. But in any case, Kweku made it public. He said it publicly.
That is true, but I think it's only fair.
The source of the information.
I agree.
You see, this is the problem I have. When you are mentioned, you know, here on this program a few weeks ago, when Kenneth Japon, the MP, who's chairman of the Defense Interior, said that the police were aware of the murder of Ahmed Swale, and mentioned 2 regional police commanders. He mentioned them.
Yeah, he mentioned them.
And said that he was even on the plane
with them,
one of them or an IGP or something. He mentioned a top-ranking police and 2 regional commanders. And they told him and mentioned the name to him and all that. And he put that name out and sort of described the person and all that. It took the police forever to respond. Just say a test is not true.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the matter.
So
same thing.
Yeah.
If look,
it's been
what the discovery.
It's been 2 hours,
the discovery is that the Ghana Police Service sits at Accra and have a letterhead, and the Ghana Police Service at Ejura and probably some other places also has a different letterhead. So even the official identity of the police is a problem. And the police CID boss is alleged to have described that as illegal, as fake, because as far as it's concerned, that is not their document. And it turns out that it's indeed their document. Now, if something like this is brought to your attention, and this is the boss of criminal investigation in Ghana, a simple phone call
into a program
to your district, your district,
to check whether,
to even say that, oh look, did you guys issue this? But you then confirm to the journalist who made the inquiry, rightfully so, that this is fake. Well, this is not a letter.
When
And
you
this
have the
is
capacity.
the head of the Criminal Investigations Department of the Republic of Ghana.
Absolutely. Yeah, so
Look, we take things lightly in this country. To be honest with you,
I agree with you, and it speaks to the lamentation that I was engaged in about the systems that we have. The Nixon matter, the FBI was on his tails, and they cornered him such that he had to resign without reservation. Otherwise, he was going to face huge embarrassment. He was going to be impeached. So we need to get serious with our institutions. That's why I said that the state. This matter has gone beyond a banter between the Chief Justice Obionu Kwesi and Akwesi Afrifa. The state should take an interest in finding out whether or not the head of our judiciary has attempted to compromise himself. It is so important. But Randy, I can assure you that the state will not take any such interest. Indeed, you notice that suddenly the thing has taken a political slant. And members of the MPP are all over the place mounting the defense.
That's with everything.
But that is a problem. Why must the Chief Justice be seen in the same light as an appointee of President Akufo-Addo, such that if an allegation is made against him, it is deemed as an attack on the political party? How is that even possible? Why aren't we able to?
If you flip the coin, somebody too will say that members of the NDC are, for want of a better expression, gleefully commenting on this matter.
If we comment, Randy, listen. The Chief Justice is the head of a state institution. Richard, myself, you, as members of this society, as citizens of Ghana, reserve the right to run commentary on the matter. But when we take a position that because he was appointed by your president or a president that you support, if there's an allegation against him, it is tantamount to an attack on the appointing authority or the party to which that appointing authority belongs to. It is completely wrong. And I think it should worry the Chief Justice himself that such a position will be taken on the matter. Everybody, from the child in kindergarten to the oldest person in Ghana, reserves the right to run commentary on the performance of state institutions. So if there's an allegation, our interest should be that these allegations are not true and that the judiciary is functioning at full throttle
but
with the highest integrity.
You should allow people who also look at allegation and say that they fail to see any basis beyond hearsay.
Randy, that is there.
You should grant them that.
They have absolutely every right to state that position. Indeed, I have said that the Chief Justice himself reserves the right, unreservedly, to mount the most robust defense possible. And he should be given every facilitation to do just that. Anybody can comment on the matter. But when you take a position simply because the allegation has been made against somebody appointed by the president, that is where I find it to be problematic. And if you check the manner of the defense has taken a political slant. The people involved, the most prominent people involved in that defense, have a certain political collaboration, and it does not help much.
So
that is the difficulty.
After Richie speaks, I would plead that both sides then keep quiet and allow the institutions like ourselves
Randy,
to do the talking.
Randy, ask for commentary. Ask for commentary. You can't gag anybody. Randy, ask for commentary. Listen, Randy, ask for commentary. You can't gag anybody. You are right to do that. The Chief Justice is a public official. Indeed, if you recall, I have a position. Indeed, you try to explain why the media felt that they needed to. I said no. You can't have sacred cows. Nobody on why some countries are prosperous and others are poor. Okay. And the narrator made a statement. He says that it is institutions. The fact that you can guarantee that a president in the United States will not get away with violating the Constitution, no matter which party he belongs to. Yeah. Why? Benjamin Netanyahu, before he was ousted by the opposition coalition, was under investigation, even though he was prime minister. Indeed, in Israel, their former president was put in jail, and they jailed high-ranking people. Only a few days ago, Jacob Zuma was sent to jail in South Africa for contempt of court relating to his refusal to appear before a commission of inquiry. That is the difference between a state that wants to progress. The playing field is so level that you won't get away with any offense that violates the laws of the land. But here, even the media is afraid to even speak about the fact that there is such an allegation. Randy.
We are speaking.
Randy, that's what this one. Take the criticism.
No,
I'm not directing it.
We are speaking. You are speaking.
Randy, I'm saying that. Look,
I'm allowing you to speak.
Look, why I'm a critic of President Akufo-Addo. But I can assure you that if these allegations have been made about President Akufo-Addo, it will find space on the front pages.
Because it's a politician.
Yes. So whether you're a politician or not, to the extent that you draw a salary, you are working in the name of the state in any capacity, you are subject to scrutiny and accountability.
Right.
And you in the media must be fearless. You must fend off any effort to gag you, no matter the source of that.
On the basis of my fear, I'll take a break.
In Ghana and in Africa, there is only one place to look to get that luxurious design and decor for your offices and homes. Visit Jamila Home. We give you the climax of luxury wherever you find yourself. Presidential and executive office furniture, living room sets, dining set, stunning mirrors, adorable wallpapers, lovely king and queen size beds, valuable antiques and antique goods, beautiful chandeliers and more. Into the bargain, we provide caring customer service, prompt delivery service, skilled and artistic full house design and decor services, and free decor ideas for your space. Our products and service is unparalleled, boasting of top-tier clients all over the globe. Jamila Home, home of first-class quality furniture, beautiful chandeliers, and antiques.
Masa, tam Maria, I'm kind of coffee. I am no more budget born again. Have a beer, you can
HD logo the bottom. Where you say HD local channels na mo hero. And so pictures here clear. E 5 times better. As in other channels that could be your hormone. So go the mention mon tram rock why. Oh, what the pictures.
Who knows tomorrow?
What a picture. What you AD plus decoder or multi TV and now Electroland agent PR natural local channels now HD the here so better
star 879 hash
numbers from people box and now you activate AD channels now. You can
get an HD Plus decoder from now till the 9th of August for just $89.99 Ghana cedis and enjoy 3 months free subscription. Enjoy all the excitement and live sports action in the HD Plus Air Bosso Philippines promo. Promo lasts from 7 June to 9 August 2021. Visit hd-plus.com.gh or call 024-243-9872 for more info.
Half a nose for good things.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. Shows brought to you in kind partnership with Ex-Natural Mineral Water. Still with me on the show, I have Felix Kwacho Fosu and Richard Ayagba. So Richard, after overcoming my fear, could you fearlessly deal with the matter for me?
Well, thank you. Felix has talked quite a lot, and I think he's done well in outlining what is at issue for your viewers, and I think that is proper. So people have context now to appreciate what is it we're talking about. I don't disagree with Felix a whole lot.
Oh, no problem.
To the extent,
it's a discussion.
Yeah, to the extent that this issue is a serious issue, I feel that the CJ's effort to want this investigated is in order. The referral to the General Legal Counsel, which Phyllis thinks that perhaps because he chairs the council and therefore this issue, I think naturally he would want to recuse himself if that comes up. But the issue as to whether if he still chairs that would compromise the issue, I don't see that.
He won't chair the panel. He won't be part of the panel.
Right. Even if to the extent Phyllis argues that because he has overbearing influence on generally every lawyer in this country, literally, that would perhaps do something contrary to what would represent fairness. I think may not necessarily be the case because they're going there to speak evidence and they are going there to establish what really is the issue. So I don't see how I can be influenced to say what is white is not exactly white, and I don't know what midway color I'll find for a white color that is not exactly white. So I don't have that fear as much as he expressed, because if that's the case, really, if you talk about the precedent, we've had 2 election petitions in this country where presidents who had overbearing influence on everyone were put on trial, literally. And those outcomes, all of us express confidence in them. Whether you disagree with the outcome or not, we see that the process was fair, it was public, everybody saw what went on. So really the fact that one has an overbearing influence or, superintend an institution when they are brought to account and their issue is being examined, I don't think that should necessarily become a point for concern for us because we feel that the issues will be a bit muddied or not. I think we should have confidence in our institutions, especially Felix, who says he's a stickler for building strong institutions, should be the first to have confidence that our institutions will do what they must do right. And we must all take interest. And I agree that this is an issue that should have a national interest in it, to the extent that we want to ensure that our 3 arms are operating in ways that we can have absolute confidence in. And I agree when Phyllis says that if this was an allegation about the former president, John Mahama, it will be front page even before anybody begins to verify. If it's an allegation about the sitting president, His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, it would be reported before people seek for the clarifications and other things. So to that extent, I agree that we must have a national interest to ensure that the head of the judiciary is not tainted in ways that undermines confidence in the delivery of justice in our country. I read the statement that the lawyer Frifa issued, and I've seen CJ's response, and in terms of asking the CID to investigate the matter. But reading the lawyer's statement, and I know that these are issues that are now going to be looked at, but on the face of it, reading the letter, I might see really what the point is. Because if you look at where he was talking about the advance of monies to him, $300,000, which by their calculation is equal to $50,000, and the recall of that money, apparently to make good on a $5 million alleged bribe that he's going to pay to the Chief Justice, wherein he's paid some $500,000 already. And if you pay $500,000, you're left with about $4.5 million. Is that not the case? And so $50,000 is what he needs. That is being recalled from him to add to $500,000 to complete $4.5 million. I mean, I see the whole thing to be inconsistent in my thinking. But of course, this is on the face of it. And also, what is gymnastics? So an individual who is promising a forward act of compromising somebody to say that, give me this money, I can compromise people for you. That person should already be in custody to find out if we're serious about addressing the issue. Because
he denies that.
Well, he denies that. Okay, well, but the point is,
he denies that, and he rather accuses his client of the one who was talking about gymnastics with the CJ.
Yes. So, but what I'm saying is that
so at the center of the whole thing is gymnastics.
The
only thing is that this one says
it is you who wants to do the gymnastics.
So you said it's
reverse ways and means. I mean,
but when you look at it logically,
it's a triangle of ways and means.
But if you look at it logically, you know, from where this will originate, okay, the very mention of anyone wanting to compromise anybody for purposes of expected outcome is one thing that we need to look at very closely. So I think that this issue is one that, yes, we must all have interest in it, but we must do so with the understanding that the discussion here would be issue-based, because it cannot be anything but that. The idea that this will assume a political position, I think we should all do our best to desist from that. Felix should do same, I should do same, and everybody, because really, to whose benefit will it inure if this thing is politicized? And I don't think, so far what I have heard, anybody is attempting to politicize the matter, because the issues on the balance of it is really looking at three individuals engaged in pursuing a case that is gone bad, if you like. And so I don't see where I would want to defend necessarily Lawyer Frifa or Jidom or CJ for purposes of what? Yeah, that's not in your, but the point we must insist on is that our judiciary is key to the running of our state, and therefore we must be interested in ensuring that it is actually living up to the standard so that we all have confidence in it. I don't agree that, okay, well, to have a commission of inquiry into this, I don't think that that's the only resort we have. Shraj can look at this appropriately if
it's been petitioned.
Shraj will petition.
Yeah, ASEPA.
Okay.
I read that ASEPA has petitioned Shraj.
Okay, so that's appropriate. The CID can look into it. Its finding can translate into really issues.
Shraj will first of all have to determine whether there's a prima facie case. You know,
yes.
they make that determination
before they assume. Yeah, but I think that given the national interest in the case, Shraj will most likely take the case. So we wouldn't have to drift all the way into commission, which I think Felix fancies. But if that's what we must do, I think that we should support a situation where the good name of the CJ is cleared of the Ojidom and then the lawyer in case, because really what is happening now, the lawyer is at risk of losing his license, and nobody should, you know, be put in that situation if indeed they are innocent. And so we should be interested. And naturally, Felix, I think that this is one of those issues that daylight will not depart from. It would be present on the front burner of our discussions, and I think that the media's cautiousness in approaching the carrying of the initial allegation, I think, Felix, it may only emanate from their regard for the institution of the judiciary, and not necessarily because they are being gagged. I think that if you go and you launch your head in first before you begin to find your facts, you might get stuck. And so I think that is probably the appropriate thing to do. But when push comes to shove, the actual thing that needs to be done is that we all must take interest in this case. It is not a partisan issue. It is one that has implication for the safe and the safe running of our state, and we must ensure that all the arms are operating above board to ensure that Ghanaians continue to have confidence in our government altogether. So I think we should work together. Commentary we must run, but let's be measured. Let's not politicize the issue, and make sure that really we support the process to make sure there's some finality brought to this, and those who have wronged the Ghanaian people be punished. Because we have precedent, like Phyllis cited about the analysis work, which exposed a tendency for some people in the judiciary to accept, you know, gymnastics as appropriate, while they are trying to fix a problem which is itself to compromise or to defraud somebody. They are supposed to make right, okay, and bring justice to people who are warring or disputing in the courts. But if they themselves are found to be capable of being bribed and corrupted, then that creates problem for the system. So this is one important case that we all need to follow through for purposes of ensuring that our judiciary is risen above what in recent time became a problem with it and almost eroded confidence in that institution. So we must support this and not politicize it. And I think generally Phyllis's submission has been fair to the extent that we must all be focused and make sure that this is brought to some reasonable conclusion.
All right, okay, so wait and see.
Randy, a brief protocol. Of course, I think we are almost in agreement, except that.
Just when I thought
don't worry.
I'd overcome my fears.
No, Randy, you have nothing to fear.
Phyllis has promised you that commentary will continue.
As for the commentary, it's not going to that. No, and it's important. You know, I see instances like this as an opportunity to build further safeguards in our institutional arrangements, because nation building is a continuous effort. Sometimes there may be shortfalls, but opportunities come that allow you to plug some holes. Now, the reason why I am insistent on a public inquiry, you see, Randy, Justice Eni Yeboah heads a very vital institution. If a disagreement should erupt between myself and Richard today, and we opt to go before the courts, we do so in the firm belief that even if I lose, it will not be because of any personal consideration. But even if the judge has made an error, it will be a genuine error, not based on any personal favors or considerations. It is that underlying principles that holds our social fabric together. That is what makes us a civilized, democratic country. If we lose that, then we are on the highway to perdition. And so we must not toy with it in any way, shape, or form. We cannot have investigations after which there are lingering doubts. So not only must the matter be looked into, it must be looked into in a way that convinces everybody who is objective and reasonable that the right thing was done. It is either that the Chief Justice is innocent, as he asserts in his rejoinder, and therefore the lawyer making the then scurrilous allegations would have to be punished according to law, or that there is merit in the accusations, for which reason processes have to be established to ensure that the Chief Justice is brought to book. This should be clear, and it should be without any doubt. I see that presently, given the way our system works, the only way to achieve this is to have the public follow what happens. And if that is done, it will go a long way to restore public confidence in this vital institution. Already, members of the executive and legislature suffer a huge deficit because of some of these weaknesses. The perception that we are not interested in upholding the interests of the state, and now all we are interested in is to be leeches and become a burden onto the citizens. We must remove the lawsuits, as I would demonstrate at the hearing of the petition.
Now, those words, they were taught at law school.
Fine, but Randy,
So it's
a lawyer,
it's normal language.
No problem, Randy. But the allegation is there, and the lawyer has made it possible. To be honest, when I saw the allegation, I was startled. I was shocked that, I mean, he could be that bold to make such a frontal allegation.
But you know, see, before you move,
okay,
on,
all right.
Are you done?
No, I'm not done.
Okay, you finish.
So let's wrap up.
So let us not make light of this particular matter. I hope that the right persons are engaged, and that we get to the bottom of this. I expect a certain level of interest from perhaps Parliament, because they are a key institution. Indeed, there's debate as to whether or not Parliament has locus. But I believe that everybody drawing salary from the public purse should come under parliamentary scrutiny. It's a given. Indeed, you recall that when the late Emisata was appointed as Vice President of the Mama, there was no law that compelled him to go before Parliament. But the minority, especially at the time, raised the issue that it was necessary to have, even though there was no law, it was important to establish that practice. And it made sense. So the majority agreed, everybody agreed that that exercise was useful, because people did not know about him, what he brought. At least if he had contested on the ticket of the NDC at the time, through the campaign and the debates, he would have come under some scrutiny, so we know what stuff he was made of. But we made up for that shortfall in our institutional arrangement, so that it achieved a satisfactory outcome. So we should be willing to go the full hog to ensure that utmost transparency and accountability is brought to bear on this particular investigation. That is not to say, I must repeat, that the merits of this matter have been determined by me. I'm not in a position to do that. Yes.
Richard, once you go ahead to say the points that you've noted, what do you make of the call for the CJ to step aside?
Well, so in respect, is it in respect of the hearing at the General Legal Council, or just for until this whole thing is determined?
I hear and I read people say that until the matter is investigated, he should step aside. I have not found or been convinced by a legal basis yet. Yeah. I hear people make a moral argument. Yeah. My counter question is that will everybody have to step aside just because an allegation has been made against them? I mean, because that could also lead us into the realm of absurdity. Some also think that, well, it's good.
Yeah. So that when an election petition is raised, the president should step aside until it is determined. Literally, the moral argument can be extended to that level, and I think
that one is provided for by law.
Yeah.
So it's not, there's no dispute about
what I'm saying, but the moral argument still stands, and so I agree with you. We'll get into that realm of absurdity. So really, in good reason, if it can be done, if it wants to be done, I don't see the legal basis for it. But I have not seen essentially, it's a moral situation that you want to argue, but.
You see the flip side of that coin, why I am a bit uncomfortable with that is the precedence is set. It means that anytime an allegation is thrown, no matter how weighty or frivolous it is, as a practice you must.
In good moral sense, you must step aside. And then so you are getting to a place where you can dysfunction our government because
we'll make allegations everyone now.
Actually we can do that, and so that makes so we'll make allegation. Phyllis is politicizing this, so he must step aside. So you and I can engage the conversation. So it depends on who makes the allegation first, and you get to have somebody step aside. So I think that is really not the case. But in good conscience, when it comes to it, maybe at the General Legal Council, where the Chief Justice feels he's going to chair the same committee that has to do with somebody who is alleged something against him, and it's going to be, a hearing.
They won't.
So essentially, that will lead to that person being punished. I think he will recuse himself, and that I think is in good faith. And that's why I wanted to straighten out what Phyllis talked about. That is more or less that because he has an overbearing influence, be on the panel or off the panel, still can have that influence. So really, I don't think that we should get to the point where that becomes a situation. But you see, Felix, what I wanted to say to what you said in relation to Parliament having to be the acceptable means for you to have confidence in any outcome we get, I find that problematic because really it is, to your own words of making sure our institutions work and are strong, it actually undermines that, because we have institutions that can actually take this issue and deal with it. So if it is the CID that is working on it, the SHRAJ that is working on it, our commitment should be that we hold them to a standard, that they must do this diligently because we are all watching. They must investigate this honestly and judiciously. The SHRAJ, who is also an institution with capacity to do this, we must hold them to the letter, and all of us have public interest in the matter to ensure that they are able to give us a credible investigation that will erase all doubt. But the point is that it doesn't matter if Jesus Christ or Muhammad comes to adjudicate this issue, people will still not be satisfied. That is in the nature of things to do with dispute. Because you lose, you're never going to be entirely satisfied. Because you win, you are entirely satisfied. So we don't have to establish that impossibility threshold to say that nothing else suffices unless this happens. Because even if there's a parliamentary inquiry, at the conclusion of it, you will not be absolutely satisfied. So let's be focused on what must be done right, and all have that interest to see it through, to ensure that the right thing is done, and not to create doubts that, whatever is going to be done here is not going to be up to scratch. But unless we do it this way, everything else that is done is not acceptable.
All right.
And that's why this one I beg you. You see, at the heart of this discussion, in terms of the inquiry, is independence. The police CID. Can we say that they are independent? They are not.
Well, that's your opinion.
No, it's not opinion.
That's your opinion.
Let
me land. That for me is a serious allegation against an institution of state. And STRA.
Is it?
So I grant you that.
No. Let me land. Can we see? We are here. Can we objectively say, based on all that we know, that it is an independent institution? It should be, but the truth is that it is not. Randy has recounted a number of instances. Some happened only last week.
By its conduct.
They are not independent.
I always lament that I don't know why they
Randy,
keep
I'll
doing
be
this
honest
to
with you.
themselves. They keep doing this to themselves.
I'll be honest with you. Indeed, I am a staunch defender of the police. I want them to be up there.
That way
No. Oh, and you can ask Randy. I've taken positions on this. Sometimes there are shortfalls that we can overlook based on deficiencies that are not their making.
Right.
But I have been in government before. And I'm sure you know. I can assure you that they don't operate as an independent entity. And the reason why that is crucial is that there are forces that have sufficient power to undermine an investigation by an entity that does not have independence. Parliament has independence.
You know, there are people who
that's not even true. Is that not entirely true?
But you see, there is a check. You see, at least,
there are many times that I have had cause
to doubt Parliament
to describe an action of theirs. As being acting as appendages of the executive.
And they say that all the time.
In Parliament, there is a check. If you say they are not independent, what are you referring to? That majority members who belong to the MPP will not want to incur the wrath of the powers that do.
Well, not necessarily.
But you are talking about
there are times that even people from your political party have had cause
to question.
Even question.
That is there.
But how they believe their own have compromised.
At the very least, there is a check. This committee, if it is set up by the speaker, would have majority minority representation. Indeed, because of the very slim margins now, the representation will almost be equal. So the likelihood that all these people from different political backgrounds are going to be compromised the same way is most minimal. At least there's a certain threshold that they meet, which other institutions do not meet. As for the General Legal Council,
I'm sure if that one is set, the first person on the minority side will be Dominic Kaili.
But he has accused himself also.
Well, of course, you can raise the argument, Randy. You can raise the argument. Look, of course, we accept that the standards that we set for others, we want to live by. You can raise the argument about personal interest, conflict of interest, or previous entanglements. It's fair. And, you can look at it. You can look at it. But Randy, as for the General Legal Council, essentially they are going to be asked to investigate their boss. It is not a tenable proposition.
No. The General Legal Council situation really is limited to the disciplinary regime. Yes. So, and that one,
the ethical
exactly. So it's about the code of conduct, which is entrenched and is spelled out. So if you violate it's clear.
Did you take money for ways or means or not?
Yes.
That's really what
it doesn't matter who is
that matter is at the heart of this.
No, I don't dispute that.
So we're saying that over there is black and white.
No, basically,
so it doesn't matter.
No, actually, what they have to be doing is it has been determined that the man did not take any money for ways and means. Yes. So why did you go and say that he had taken money? So that is what they should be looking at. You understand?
Yeah, so that can be a matter of civil suit.
So the Trade Union Congress, on another matter that has been raging, I think that the CJ issue was almost going to take over from this one until another statement last night. So the Trade Union Congress issued a statement, press statement on the salaries of spouses of President and Vice President. It says, we've followed the ongoing spirited public debate on the payment of salaries to spouses of presidents and vice presidents. Here are the facts we've gathered so far. 1. The payment of allowances to spouses of presidents and vice presidents was introduced by the first government of Fourth Republic under the late former President Rawlings. 2. These allowances have been handled administratively by the Office of the President. 3. The Presidential Emoluments Committee, chaired by Prof. Zantia Mwabedu, recommended that henceforth the wives of presidents and vice presidents should be paid monthly salaries at the level paid to cabinet ministers as part of the privileges recommended to presidents and vice presidents. 4. The 7th Parliament, which was dissolved on 6 January 2021, approved the recommendations by Zantia Mwabedu's committee to convert these allowances to monthly salaries. 5. Salary arrears dated back to January 2017 have since been paid. This is the allegation that TUC makes. since been paid to the wives of the President Akufo-Addo and Vice President Bawumia in accordance with the committee's recommendations, which was approved by NDC and MPP members of Parliament. The spouses of presidents and vice presidents are not specified in Article 71 of the Constitution of Ghana. The question is, why should they receive salaries pegged to emoluments and privileges for office holders specified in Article 71? It is true that salaries of some presidential staffers not specified in Article 71 receive emoluments that are the level of ministers or even higher, in accordance with Presidential Office Act 1993, Act 463, Legal Service Act and other acts. But it should be noted that the duties and responsibilities of Article 71 office holders and all job holders in the public service, including presidential staffers, are clear. The spouses of presidents and vice presidents have not been officially assigned any such duties and responsibilities. Therefore, they are not qualified to receive salaries from their public purse. Ghanaians appreciate what first and second ladies are doing to support women's rights, child rights, and other noble initiatives towards social and economic development of our country. But neither the Constitution of Ghana nor the laws of the land assign them any official duties and responsibilities. Therefore, the Trades Union Congress cannot support the payment of salaries to the spouses of presidents and vice presidents, even if the Ntiamoa Bedu's committee recommended the payment of such salaries. It's simply not right for anyone who has not been officially assigned duties and responsibilities in the public service to receive monthly salaries. The committee probably sought to regularize the payment of allowances which were being paid already. But you cannot regularize the payment of allowances which has no legal basis. The ongoing passionate debate indicates clearly that this issue is very important to Ghanaians. We would like to advise President Akufo-Addo to use all the powers accorded him by the Constitution of Ghana, first to stop the payment of salaries to his wife and the wife of the Vice President immediately until they officially assign duties and responsibilities. The President should also ensure that all such payments made to his wife and the wife of the Vice President are refunded immediately. When the time comes for spouses of Presidents and Vice Presidents to be assigned official duties and responsibilities that will qualify them to receive salaries from taxpayers' money, and the executive arm of government should remember the spouses of the Speakers of Parliament, heads of the legislative arm of government, the spouses of the Chief Justice, the heads of the judiciary arm of government. They can also perform some official duties. We would also like to advise the President to initiate a process towards the establishment of a committee or commission made up of experts from various fields to advise government on salaries for all job holders in the entire public service to ensure fairness. The current system appears to favor politicians at the expense of other job holders in the larger public service in terms of salaries, allowances, and other job-related privileges. Under no circumstance should sections of a public service receive unfair advantage over others in the same public service. The wrongs that have been perpetuated over nearly past 3 decades at the blind side of taxpayers must stop now. And this is signed by Dr. Yalban, General Secretary, Secretary General of the Trades Union Congress. And be mindful of the allegation they made that the monies have been paid already. Now, so there's a statement issued last night. Statement from the First Lady of the Republic, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo, on the recommendations of the committee established pursuant to Article 71 of the Constitution. The attention of the First Lady of the Republic, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo, has been drawn to the recommendations of the committee established pursuant to Article 71 of the Constitution. You can read along with me, and please, when you get to paragraph 3, watch that. I'll come back to paragraph 3. Pursuant to Article 71 of the Constitution, the Professor Yaya Ntiamoa Bedu Committee, which among other things seek to regularize the payment of allowances to spouses of the current President and Vice President, former heads of state, President and the Vice President respectively, as part of the privileges due to the President and the Vice President under Article 71 of the Constitution. The First Lady has taken note of the ongoing conversation in the nation following on from these recommendations and their bipartisan approval by Parliament, as mandated by Constitution as the body which approves the emoluments of the executive. So this is what I want you to watch. It is important to state that the payment of such allowances existed and was made to previous First Ladies in the course of the Fourth Republic, prior to Mrs. Akufo-Addo becoming the First Lady. Mrs. Akufo-Addo did not request to be paid any allowance. She only, and underline that, she only received that which existed and attached to her status, albeit informally. She only received that which existed, underline existed, and attached to her status, underline status, albeit informally. I'll come back there. When I get back, you appreciate why. That notwithstanding, the public discussion has been laced with some extremely negative opinions. In some cases, she finds distasteful, seeking to portray her as a venal, self-serving, and self-centered woman who does not care about the plight of the ordinary Ghanaian. In view of this, the First Lady, in consultation with the President of the Republic, has decided to refund all monies paid to her as allowances from the date of the President's assumption of office, that is from January 2017 to date. To date would be end of June. End of June. Amounting to 899,097 cedis and 84 pesos. So she goes on. The First Lady has also decided not to accept any monies that have been allocated to be paid to her pursuant to the recommendations of the Ntiamoa Bedu Committee or as approved by Parliament. She is doing this as a purely personal decision without prejudice to the rights of others and not to undermine the propriety of the process undertaken by Parliament. The First Lady does not want these matters to serve as a distraction from the good work that the President was currently touring the Savannah and Upper West region is doing to develop our dear nation. The First Lady will continue to support the President as she has always done in the execution of the mandate entrusted to him by the good people of Ghana, and is signed by Koko Blebo, Director of Communications Office of the First Lady. Now, so we go back to paragraph 3. It is important to state that payment of such allowances existed and was made to previous First Ladies in the course of the Fourth Republic, prior to Mrs. Akufo-Addo becoming the First Lady. Okay. Mrs. Akufo-Addo did not request to be paid any allowance. She only received that which existed and attached to her status. Her status is First Lady, albeit informally. And then if you go to paragraph 5, it says, in view of this, the First Lady, in consultation with the President of the Republic, has decided to refund all monies paid to her as allowances from the date of the President's assumption of office, that is from January 2017 to date, amounting to 899,097 cedis and 84 pesos. Okay, so to date gives you 54 months. If you divide 899,000 by 54 months, it gives you 16,648 cedis. So 16,648 cedis is the allowance which existed before her and which she has enjoyed and which she is refunding. So 16,648. That is what was the case, and that is what she has earned and been paid from January to June 2021, and it comes to 16,648 cedis a month. I'm sure that the analysis and the maths must help a lot of people this morning.
Sure.
Obape,
yeah.
What's here that?
Well, I think that the letter is in order.
Which one?
This
I read
from the Mira Baumia. These are individuals who have come to occupy a role because that role exists, and like other First Ladies before them, have used that office to impact our country, our communities, in doing very essential social intervention work. So that's something we need to recognize and understand that what the discussion is not about their person. It's about that office to which another person, upon the exit of the President from office, another person will become First Lady or Second Lady. I don't recall a situation where we've had a president without a wife before, but so that office exists and will continue to exist. And the issue that the Professor Yaa Ntiamoa's committee was trying to do was to find ways to regularize something that already exists to be condition or payment that is advanced to First Ladies and Second Ladies. And in doing so, they make a recommendation which Parliament agreed with. And so, meaning that the people's representatives, having accepted that, ought to be implemented. Because parts of the recommendation has been implemented from that committee. Their work is re-implemented. So you implement their recommendation. I don't think that that's something entirely strange or unheard of. Now, what is for us to engage, which I think was in the tone of what the TUC was talking about, is to have a conversation about whether or not we are interested in systematizing that office such that the first ladies and second ladies of our country will have a certain requirement put upon them, subsequent to the payments that we're going to be making to them if it's regularized. I think that is a fair conversation. There was a time, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that the former President John Dramani Mahama talked about doing something about Article 71, perhaps potentially repealing it or doing, because I personally...
Having the Emoluments Commission.
Exactly. I think that ought to be looked at, really. It ought to be looked at, and to find a situation, anybody can be a beneficiary of it, but the point is that, is it really something we have to keep the way it is? And you, Sina, you've had calls to talk about how it is that it is done almost after, after the fact, and then it's completely something that I feel that we need to look at. And so the conversation really should focus on how we want to probably standardize the pay regime and not really take aim at individuals to the extent that some of the conversation you have heard and people trying to characterize this as an effort by the president or by some people to pay their wives. No, it is an office, and the rejection currently by the First Lady and I think the Second Lady as well is not to say that recommendation, which, if you like, is probably law, be scrapped, right? Because they have taken the individual initiative not to accept it. Another person can come to the office and then accept
not to accept it because of the public commentary.
Exactly. And I think that
if you look at the First Lady's statement, she says that she finds some of the discussions distasteful, seeking to portray her as a venal, self-serving and self-centered woman who does not care about the plight of the ordinary Ghanaian.
Yeah, that is directly opposite her personality, what she has done to date. That her interventions and the kinds of things she's done in medicine for our country, building centers to augment our health delivery in this country. And I think that in the nature of things, it is proper, in my view, that she went ahead to...
But you see, when you are in this space, in as much as some of those things are regrettable and shouldn't be happening and all that, one, it comes to the terrain. It's not to say that it is right.
Yeah.
Now, two, I will not sit here and say that I have not read comments that suggest those things. But if you were to elevate a discussion, really, the discussion has been about whether indeed we ought to elevate the allowances to salaries. And when people talk about informal and formal, I don't understand it. Because you don't need to be on Article 71 to receive a formal allowance or salary. I don't get it. Two, people have raised the issue of the legal basis of allowing the Article 71 committee to be the one. So people have proceeded to court on the basis that they believe it is unconstitutional. I hold that view. I have said that I don't have a problem in principle with they being paid something. The vehicle which is being used, in my view, is unconstitutional. I've made it public. And I think that it could be done differently. If we want to, quote and unquote, formalize it, I don't see how that is informal. But if you want to formalize it, I think that a different vehicle ought to be used other than the Article 71 vehicle. So, in my view, the discussion largely is being about, one, whether there's a basis for salary, why do you want to convert allowances into salaries? And two, the vehicle which is being used. Yes, I've heard some of those comments that she's referring to, but you can't pay attention to everything in this country, especially when you occupy certain offices.
Yeah. But of course, I mean, I agree with you in total. The only thing is that it it caricatures you as an insensitive person, and which is the basis for me why she would return that. And taking note of the fact that, and you think, you remember the
what she's done now is that she's not saying that I reject the issues of the salaries and the back pay, but I even reject what existed before me, which is not the subject of criticism.
Yeah.
So it's like somebody acting out of anger. Yes, I'm angry. So if that be the case, I'm not only rejecting what you are proposing, what you are even complaining about, but in fact I'm rejecting everything. I'm returning back everything that I've even received in the office.
Yeah, but that is the tone of the commentary that is being run. That why are we paying them? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? And so I agree, and I think that it shows sensitivity, understanding. Really, they don't need that money, to be honest. Really, they don't. If you consider how much they raise on their own to advance social projects, I don't think 16,000 is what they need to complete anything, right? But because it's a process that exists and it comes just because of that, so you take it because it is due you, not because you've gone to lobby for it. I think that's the point the statement is seeking to do in paragraph 3, to outline where this thing starts from.
You see, at the end of the basis, if you read the committee's report, the committee made it clear in their consultation. If you read, is it point 2 of their consultation with the executive, that this issue of legitimizing or officializing this whole thing was a proposal by the executive to the committee. Is the second point, if you read the committee's report.
Yeah.
So, yes, the Office of the First Lady did not ask for that to be done.
Yeah.
But the executive, which is headed by the president, made that request to the committee.
But you know, Syria, if you ask...
And I'm not sure that the request was made from a selfish point of view.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's exactly the point I'm going to make. Now, look at a period, say, from President Kufuor or even for President Rawlings' time, that this has been done all along. Now, can you establish the tax value, okay, of the amount? We're looking at 890 something. Okay?
You see, you can do the right thing the wrong way.
Yeah.
Which is what I think
it's
been done. It's been done.
Yeah.
You can do the right thing the wrong way.
No. So you see, and that's the
like I said, in principle, I don't have a problem.
Yes. So
but I disagree with the vehicle.
Yeah. So that's the unfortunate thing, which would make me agree with the return of the monies, all of it. Okay, not just what is going to be regularized, but to reject everything, because the tone of the conversation suggests that they don't deserve anything.
Will she reject all courtesies extended to her by the state? Will she reject all monies paid by state agencies to her organization? Will she go a step further to do all that? Because those ones have also been heavily criticized. People have also portrayed her as venal and self-centered and self-serving in some of those issues. I remember the GMPC and other issues, even NAM1 and all that. The kind of commentaries that you've seen and cartoons and all, they've been there. I'm not saying they are right, but I'm saying that they've been there. And in dealing with these things, you ought to be careful that you also don't open up space for people to get in there and begin to,
Yeah, see, that is something you can do about every situation, almost. You understand? So the fact that somebody agrees to, return money, you can then say, what about this, what about this? So you can get on a slide on that one. But in principle, what is being done...
The point I'm just saying is that be careful the principle you seek to establish.
Yeah.
It will hurt you.
Yeah. But it's germane in this case that it is done that way. So we go to the extent of dealing with this issue without the confusion and the pain, or if you like, of people who think that they are being paid monies and centered that on the current regime as the ones who are doing that. So it gives you that basis in paragraph 3 to see that this is something that is always being done, already been done, and has been done. I'm only a bit different from your position to the extent that I see potentially, if these monies have been paid from since when? Yeah?
The Fourth Republic.
Yes. And I'm interested in understanding, somebody do the math for us you have done, what is the tax value of that money that is paid without tax deductions, right?
There will be tax deductions.
On the allowance?
Yeah, allowances they're taxed.
So then it's already,
I can confirm that it has been taxed.
It's been taxed?
Yeah, they are tax deductions.
Okay, so it's already systematized, and that probably I can agree with.
That's the point I make, yeah.
So really, then it's nothing new, and that for me is a problem. Then I will join with Felix in chastising the media. I want to be careful with that. To say that, why don't we report the issue as they are? To the extent that this thing is something that is already being done.
But we know.
And what is going to be done right now is nothing different from making it mainstream that we know this is what is being done. And then we as a people can have responsibilities that we can demand from that office.
So those are the questions that, at least I can speak for myself.
Yes.
Those are the questions that have been asked on this table.
Yes.
You know, so like I said, I don't have a problem with the principle of paying something to them.
Yeah.
My problem with this one is what I see as an unconstitutional act, using the Article 71 vehicle.
Yeah.
That's my view on it, and that's why I say you can do the right thing the wrong way.
Yeah. But see,
people have proceeded to the Supreme Court. If the Supreme Court says that I am wrong,
yeah. But you see, I mean, I don't see the constitutionality or the lack of it, because really the Constitution did not speak in clear terms to say you cannot do that.
It spoke in clear terms.
No, it's not in clear terms.
No, it did.
In 71.
It did, and I'll tell you.
It outlined people who fell within
that's all.
the remit.
So that's all the
but it didn't say.
Yes.
It didn't bar anybody.
No.
If from a committee that is set up from constitutional basis.
Richard, be careful. If the Constitution says that for this category of persons, you set up a committee this way, and the committee determines their, it's clear.
Yeah. So what the committee did is not to impose, but to make recommendation. And I think that lines up with the principle that Phyllis was talking about to have been established with a former vice president. Yeah. So if the Constitution did not say, it outlined who and who fell within that category, and that is clear, right? But if the committee that is recognized by the Constitution makes a recommendation, and that recommendation is accepted, you cannot call it entirely unconstitutional, to the extent that the committee itself is constitutionally recognized.
Yes, but the Constitution is clear on what they should do.
Yes.
But so they don't stray into areas that is not covered by the remit given them by the Constitution.
Yeah, but
in fact,
the Constitution.
In fact, the president who sets them up by virtue of the Constitution cannot even give them a mandate that strays off what the Constitution says they should do.
Yeah. So right now you can say that there's a gray area.
It's not gray.
It's a gray area to the extent that the Constitution did not say they cannot make any recommendation.
The Constitution didn't have to say that.
So that
if the intention of the framers of the Constitution was that they could stray, it would have made it clear.
No. And you see, and that is a problem with our Constitution, because it tries to answer every question.
So tomorrow, they can also recommend that the wife of the IGP should be paid, and then when Parliament and Parliament approves it, we say yes, we'll pay, because the Constitution didn't say that they cannot do that.
Exactly. But then the fact that they can do that, Syria, does not mean that what they have done is unconstitutional. Okay. The only thing we're saying is that it sets us up on a skid, so that from then we can go to the next, But it doesn't mean that their work currently to make that recommendation. I disagree with it, but let's not cast it in those terms to say that it is, to the extent that they have made that recommendation, it's unconstitutional, because it's not.
I hear you, but I respectfully disagree.
That's fine. That's fine. I mean, I think that is fair. So in sum total, I think that this conversation is not dead and buried just because the first lady and second lady have chosen not to accept it. We have to deal with the issues. Do we think objectively, okay, outside of the current first lady and second lady, do we think that we want to regularize that office such that there will be some responsibilities that we put on that office subject to the payments that we're making to the holders of that office? And I think that is a broader conversation that we must have. But I agree with the TUC in saying that there is a need for us to have a broader conversation across board. The perception that politicians or people in public office are remunerated excessively in ways that disadvantages other people, I think we have to look at that. It's in fairness to in building, a country that we can all be proud of. I think that we can have that conversation. But let not demonize people as though that they are creating an enterprise for themselves to benefit, because this, if he had been allowed to stand, will benefit subsequent first ladies who presently are in the public undetermined who they are. Okay. It's a thing that is being done for the office, but not for the persons of the first lady or the second lady.
Okay, so the MP for Kwada, so Dr. Kingsley Nyako, is multitasking again. When he should be
engaged in
he should be getting ready to
arrangements for
account. No, is the buyer?
Oh, he's done it already.
Yeah, to account. He should be getting ready to account for the funeral process to the family. So he's multitasking. Whilst he's doing the accounting, he's sending a message.
But that will be later in the afternoon.
So he says that I applaud the first and second ladies for their decision to reject the spousal allowance recommended for them by the Yainti Amwabedu Emolument Committee. Do I disagree with them? I've supported this payment, which has been effective since 2000, not formalized. One of the committees even recommended the institutionalization of the allowance, which have been done. It's a right move. I think if the media had read the report earlier and explained it well, the hue and cry that greeted it would have been unnecessary. There's a history to support it, and the rationale is laudable. Let's be careful in this country and exercise circumspection in matters such as this. Says regards to all of you. It says, Randy, I'm not getting you quite well. Did the committee add them to Article 70 office holders or made them as part of the privileges of the holders? That is where they try to smuggle it, but it's not allowed. It's not. It's so untidy and not enough.
The search for a reliable partner in dealing with. We also have available the sale of Camel car batteries, Weichai and Kia spare parts, Zonton coaches and light duty vehicles for everyday movement. Contact us on 020-000-0831 or 054-555-7500. You can also email us info@saautomobilegh.com or visit our website at www.saautomobilegh.com. SA Automobile, the pleasure of doing business with you is all ours.
Bringing you Africa's creme de la creme's classiest hangouts, award shows, end-of-year parties, wedding, graduations, birthdays, fashion or corporate events. Metro Social has got you covered. We present bazaars with Je ne sais quoi. Give us a call and we will be there. Whilst at that, join us on Metro Social every Friday at 9:30 p.m. and a repeat on Saturdays and Sundays at 8:30 p.m. on Metro TV.
Are you tired as a consumer in Ghana when it comes to issues that confront you as a consumer? Worry no more. Kofi Kapito, I'm here to give you the information, all that you need to make sure that your right is protected as a consumer. We have too many laws and agencies that should protect the rights of the consumer. And I'm here to give you the information that will help and assist you to get goods and services delivered to you without any worries. Watch the Capito Show on Metro TV.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. The show is brought to you in kind partnership with X Natural Mineral Water. And still with me on the show, I have Felix Kwachio Fosu and Richard Ayaba.
Well, Randy, let me begin by saying that Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo is somebody I have a lot of respect for. I mean, I admire the way.
I don't like it when people start this way.
Oh, no, you have nothing to fear. I admire the way she's carried herself. She stayed out of any controversy or negative publicity. Indeed, I recall commending her highly on your program in times past. And I jokingly once said that in an individual capacity, she has done far more in investing in healthcare than even her husband, who was actually elected and who is in charge of the public purse. But to be honest with you, I find the tone and tenor of this statement that she's issued rather problematic. You see, Randy, all those who are privileged to find themselves within the public space, especially those in public office, or those who, by virtue of their positioning, are in the public limelight, have a duty to show sensitivity and respect to the people in whose name they occupy those positions. So the public has the right to violently criticize their leaders if they are dissatisfied with actions or inactions on their part. Therefore, if you happen to be the subject of such criticism, your duty is to first assess what is being said, see whether there is anything that can be done to assuage those sentiments, and convey your action in a manner that is respectful and satisfactory to the people expressing those sentiments. Unfortunately, it does not appear that the First Lady has done this in this communication. You raised issues with paragraph 3, but I think that, in my view, the most problematic paragraph is paragraph 4.
No, I thought that paragraph 3.
Yes, I respect you.
Dealt with
the substance of the matter. Yes.
No, a propaganda out there.
Okay.
Because with paragraph 3, she confirms.
Yes, that indeed.
Actually, how much
has been paid? Yes.
How much has been paid? And the fact that this is what was paid. So exactly. That's what has been highlighted in red.
I agree. Yes.
So for those who had put out all those propaganda materials about somebody being paid X and Y and all that, she's confirmed.
Of course, I appreciate that. Yeah.
That what she's been paid so far is 899. That's for the 54 months.
Yeah.
That she's the First Lady.
That's paragraph.
And that works out to 16,648 cedis.
Of course, I agree. I don't disagree with you at all. But I'm only saying that, in my view, the wording of paragraph 4 is most problematic. Because what it does is that, with a greater respect to the First Lady, it's like she's throwing tantrums and tamping her nose in the face of the people who are criticizing her, which should not be the case. Indeed, this whole letter suggests that she is doing this out of anger rather than an appreciation of the point that the people of Ghana are making. And that is where the whole thing is undermined. What she should say is that, in light of public criticism, she has assessed the situation and found that perhaps leadership should respond in a certain way, and that she is willing to forego these in order to foster the right environment for the right conversation. You must speak properly to the audience that you seek to superintend. It's as though, I didn't need this, I didn't want it, it was given to me, so take your money if you are complaining. That is not how you speak to a public that is angry about what they perceive to be an abuse of the public purse. And I find that extremely problematic. And again, ordinarily, the decision to forgo this would have been seen in positive light as a, if you like, a goodwill gesture towards fostering the right atmosphere for this discussion. But Randy, in view of what preceded this statement yesterday and the early part of today, one is tempted to believe that this is not being done in good faith. Because I think you hinted at it briefly. The whole of yesterday, the entire government machinery fabricated a document, ascribed it to the finance ministry, and put figures in there to suggest that some other people were enjoying some things that this first lady has only joined. Now, if you seek to explain an action, you don't manufacture, fabricate documents with a view to ridicule another person. In other words, they are seeking to make excuses for the current state of affairs. Randy, we all know that since President Wallace's era, first ladies have been receiving allowances. Indeed, there was Mrs. Wallace herself. There was Mrs. Kufuor. Indeed, unfortunately, Mrs. Akai is not with us. There was Mrs. Kufuor, Mrs. Ramatu Mahama, the widow of the late Vice President Aliu Mahama. There was Mrs. Nadu Mills, Mrs. Mahama, now Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo, and Samira Bawumia. All these people have been beneficiaries of this allowance system. And right, I don't even understand when people say it is informal. It goes through the processes that allowance payments in this country goes through. They pay taxes on the monies they received. Up to this point, it had not been a problem. Until we woke up one day and learned that there has been an effort to elevate the current first and second lady to a status that they do not belong. That is Article 71 office holders. That has been at the heart of this matter. Essentially, they are saying that because the committee recommended it, they are finding a backdoor way to make them Article 71 office holders, which they are not. So when people zoom in on the current first and second lady, it is with respect to that particular attempt by the current government to give them a status they do not deserve, at least as per our constitutional agreements. That is where the matter really lies.
Phyllis, just a quick question.
Sure.
There. So is it to suggest that after their term as first lady and second lady, this arrangement will expire?
Yeah, but at the moment, nobody has said that.
So
Nobody
that's
has
why
said
I'm
that.
saying
Nobody
that.
has said
Let's
that.
make a global point as opposed to localizing, because wherever this thing started was started under somebody. And somebody could have said that this person was making arrangement for their wife. Right? But nobody said that. No. So please,
you see,
if
the
you are
reason
making
why
that,
it
creates perception,
the reason why,
and that's part of the conversation that is gone wrong about this.
The reason why I disagree with your submission is that when the thing started, as per Nana Atudazi's write-up, it was done actually as a humanitarian gesture for the widows of some past heads of state who were having difficulty subsisting. That actually is how this began. And then it was said that if that was the case, then let us level the playing field. But let us not do anything that violates Ghanaian law. It is a reason why they were kept as allowances and not salaries. But the moment you elevate it to the state of your salary, you are conferring a position on the first and second ladies that they do not deserve. That is at the heart of this matter. Because once you pay them a salary, it means that they are defined responsibilities that they have to undertake.
That's a conversation.
At the moment, they have not such defined responsibilities.
But of course, that will be attendant.
They do not. No. They do not come under any form of scrutiny in terms of their office. Even though we know that they are giving office another entitlement, that far outweigh what we are discussing today. They have staff who are paid by the state. Some of them have more staff than even ministers of state. They have facilities and systems that ministers of state do not have access to. They have bodyguards, they have all manner of courtesies that are extended to them. I do not necessarily have a difficulty with those. But let the impression not be created that this is just about allowance payments. Why? When people hear that some money has been paid to Mrs. Liman or what do you call it, Mrs. Echampo, or any of those who have lost their husband, who is going to raise hell out of it? Nobody.
In any case, they don't qualify.
They don't even qualify for
the
this
qualification criteria.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So people also should stop making the impression that is intended to deal with the former first ladies
exactly.
in distress or have difficulties.
It is the first and second lady we are speaking about. And Randy, also, how sincere...
But the impression must be created that it's not only them.
Yeah. At the moment, they are the ones that this thing concerns.
No.
When people raise...
But have we been able to establish whether the TUC statement of payment being made is really true, because reading the First Lady's statement suggests that she's yet to receive.
Exactly. At least what she wants to refund.
No, that's what is being proposed.
Yeah, she's yet to receive it.
Yes.
But the TUC makes
which is
a firm.
That one we can reconcile, we can clarify. Perhaps government would be minded to clearly clarify whether or not these payments have been made. But I'm saying that this attempt that
Felix, we need to go, so
is devoid of the requisite sincerity. Because at the same time that they were doing this, they were deliberately fueling attacks on the former First Lady, Mrs. Mahama, and suggesting that she should come and refund what she has received.
In fact, as we speak today, they've also put out a fake document that she's also returning monies and all that.
You see, you have to question.
Who is they?
But that's government. Look, these are being put out by no, Richard, please. These are being put out all sorts of liberties. No.
To just make allegations.
You see, I'm not an unreasonable.
Some of the people who are posting,
these are
even yesterday's thing.
These are officials,
and some of them could even realize that the first name of the former second lady had even been spelled wrong.
Absolutely. And even that document on first
very incompetent propaganda
appears to be very pedestrian propaganda, right?
This is a social media effort you're talking about.
This is being done.
Has no link
this is being done by accredited agents of this government. Some of them work in the Flagstaff House, and they are known. Even the Daily Guide, a newspaper known to be affiliated to the MPP, owned by the MPP chairman, has published the fake document. So there's a deliberate effort to bastardize the former first lady. And Randy, you have to question. Richard, let me go ahead. You have to question why they are zooming in on the former first lady. You see, this government does not understand the times we are in. They view every criticism from any quarter within Ghanaian society as coming from the NDC. So their responses must be targeted at NDC officials and their affiliates.
Right.
It is that bizarre mindset that is informing these actions. Otherwise, what is the point in zooming in on Madam Lloyd Mahama? Randy, so are they going to ask Mrs. Kufuor or Mrs. Ramatu Mahama to refund what the money they received? Well, if you want to make a call, why zero in on them? Why zero in on Mrs. Mahama?
Okay.
Why don't you make a broad call?
That's because I'm not justifying that. I'm saying that is contingent upon the former president.
No, what has the former president? The former president has said no.
But my problem is that this whole conversation should focus on what is being done for to be systematized for an office. I'm saying not for an individual.
There's no basis for
we need to look beyond that and make sure that we have a fair conversation.
No harm has been occasioned by the payment of allowances to first ladies and former first ladies. What harm has been occasioned by that?
Right.
So that's what
why go and dig up? Why go and dig up
dead bodies?
That's all. Why go and dig up problems?
So we need to go, but let me say this. I said it also and I repeat it today. I think that yes, the focus on this issue and talk about constitutionality and otherwise and propriety and otherwise is important. But I think that we need to go take a further step. And that step is simple. As we sit here, we know the budget for the office of a president. And there is auditing for the office of a president. And we know whether they overspent or they spent within budget and what they spent on. Over the years, under the same thing, we know that the state spends on the office of the first and second ladies. What is spent there, we do not know. Who it is spent on and what is spent on, we do not know. They engage in all manner of charities. In the UK, there's a Charities Commission which provides regulations, which ensures that there's accountability and everything. Over here, it is not done. I think that those are issues that we ought to seriously look at. I have said that in principle, I don't have a problem with paying them any monies. But if we want accountability, we ought to take it a step further. I need to look at the bigger picture of what we're spending on their offices and the transparency of their charities. Thanks, gentlemen, for joining me on the show.
All right.
God willing, we'll be with you tomorrow.
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring moments.